My name is Curtis. The recording is in progress now. So again, my name is Curtis and I'm a guide with Trek Travel and I'm going to be your host this evening. Tonight, I'm going to tell you all about Trek Travel and how we can take you on an active vacation of a lifetime. So with that, let's get started. It takes a team to have a vacation of a lifetime and also to tell you about them. So joining us tonight is my good friend and co-guide, Hershey. You're going to see Hershey a little bit later as he talks about the trips that we're highlighting this evening. Now, I know all of you have become Zoom experts in the last few years, but here's a couple reminders. First, if you've updated Zoom recently and you're only seeing my face right now and not my screen, you're going to want to click over to the tab on the top that shows screen share. If you don't see that at all, you're like me, you kind of held out and you didn't update that because I was just saying I don't consider updates always an improvement on the system, so I hold out for as long as I can. But there is still the menu bar, and this is where you can mute and toggle off and on your video. And also there's a button for the chat box. And this is important because this is where you're going to answer trivia questions. We have 2 trivia questions this evening. But more importantly, throughout the presentation, as questions come up, feel free to throw those in the chat box, and we're going to grab them at the end of the evening. But if you're like me, sometimes you have a great question, and if you make me wait 30 minutes, I'm going to totally forget it. So feel free to throw those in there. We'll scroll through and kind of grab them all. There's also the option for closed captioning if you want to do that as well. I can't promise that it will capture everything I say totally accurately. So if there's anything there that seems inappropriate, not my fault. So at this point, I'll ask all of you, could you please turn off your mic and your video, and I'll get the presentation started. At Trek Travel, we usually begin each day with a route talk. So you have a good idea of like where you're going to be going, what you expect to see. So here is your route talk for tonight. We're going to start with who we are at Trek Travel, then move on to why you should travel with us and kind of what sets us apart from our competition. Then we're going to climb up to trip spotlights, Provence and Tuscany, because I have to tell you, there's always a climb in a Trek Travel trip. It wouldn't be a trip without some climbing. Then we will quickly yet safely descend to discuss how to book a trip, and as I said, finish up with some Q&A. So if you have any questions about these trips, other trips, Trek Travel, anything else, we got you covered. We're happy to talk about it. For those of you, I know Dan said he's been on a Trek Travel trip before. Don't worry, there is no safety talk tonight. While we think safety is fun, it usually seems to be the talk that people start to zone out about. So, there's no zoning out tonight. This is all going to be all fun stuff. So let's get started. First, I'm going to tell you about who we are at Trek Travel and what we do. Trek Travel is a company, though I have to tell you, after 5 years with them, it really feels more like a family to me, that believes in taking you on vacations of a lifetime that move you both literally and figuratively. Trek Travel has active vacations all over the world and is always scouting out new locations and new ways to experience them. And we've been doing it for over 22 years now. And over all of those years, we've been winning awards. We've been voted one of the top vacation companies by our guests and partners over the years by various organizations. Most recently, we were voted a top 10 tour operator by Travel and Leisure for 2023. Number 5, in fact. This is our highest finish ever, and is a repeat from 2022, 21, 2018, and 2016. We are extremely proud of these awards, and we continue to work hard to deserve more. Now, I want to tell you about why you should choose to travel with us and what sets us apart from other tour operators. You might hear us call it our secret sauce, but rather than telling you, I want to show you a video narrated by our president, Tanya Burke, called Why Trek Travel. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, so a video is definitely worth at least 1,000,000.
Travel is transformational. It allows you to have a different perspective, get to know a culture, your surroundings, and the landscape around you. But a cycling vacation really is different. You can see things up close and personal. You can smell the flowers. You work up an appetite riding your bike, and so it makes the dinners taste that much better. And for me, it is the absolute best way to see the world. We meticulously plan every single one of our trips, from hand-picked perfect accommodations to the region's best riding and local and cultural experiences that really immerse you in the place that you're traveling. And these are all the elements of an awesome trip. Our guides provide exceptional hospitality. They're really focused on making sure we have a seamless and effortless experience for our guests, and they provide wow moments that you would never expect. If you're avid and want to go do some epic climbing, you can do that. If you want more of a leisurely ride, we have trips for you as well. We also offer e-bikes, and they have been an absolute game changer. People can go further than they ever imagined. So we have different rider levels, different trip styles, price points, and destinations all throughout the world. We go to North America, Europe, South America, Asia, and pretty much anywhere you can dream up, we can take you on a vacation there. The most important thing, and I think everyone at Trek Travel shares this, is taking care of people. And that's why we do what we do. It's ingrained in our training, and it's ingrained in our commitment to providing exceptional hospitality. And our hope is that all of these elements come together and provide an experience of a lifetime.
Man, I just love that video. It just makes me want to get out and ride my bike, even though it's 21 degrees right now. And I know that riding bikes is one of the reasons that you're here as well. And speaking of riding, we're gonna talk about the bikes that we have. Trek Travel, because let's be honest, the bike that you ride on a Trek Travel trip is what makes it different, is what sets it apart from other tour operators. That's why we provide the best bikes in the business and tailor them to the trip that you're on. I mean, honestly, you're probably going to want to buy one of these bikes if you don't already own one after you spend a few days in the saddle with one. So on our gravel trips, we have the Trek Checkpoint SLR7. This is a full carbon fiber bike, electronic shifting, carbon wheels, absolutely awesome. Our standard road bike is the Domani SL7. Again, full carbon fiber bike, disc brakes, electronic shifting, carbon wheels. It is just silky smooth, super, super awesome. And if you haven't tried electronic shifting before, you're going to want to get one when you get home. Then we have our Verve Plus, and this is a no-cost option, not on all trips, but on many trips, you can get the Verve Plus as an electric bike. And then my absolute favorite is the Domani Plus SLR7. This is a bike, I personally have one of these, and it is a bike that's going to make you feel like a pro. It looks just like a regular road bike. You can hardly tell that it's an e-bike. It weighs a few more pounds. It's under 30 pounds, right around 27, depending on its configuration. But it really just kind of helps you kind of get going faster, going up hills, which is something I always struggle on as a bigger guy. So it is absolutely amazing. And keep in mind, though, these are electric assist bikes. So you're going to have to actually pedal. This is the Trek Travel trip after all, and so pedaling is always required. And these are options that you have on these two trips tonight, but they're not available on all of our trips. These are our four main bikes, but there are some, unique trips that you might have a slightly different bike. It really just depends on the trip. You go to our webpage, you look at the bikes that are available, it'll show you what they are, but these are what you're going to find on most of our trips. And if you haven't ridden one before and you want to check one out before you go on a trip, hop into your local Trek dealer, take one for a spin. You can kind of see how it fits, and you're just really going to love it. I think you're going to want to. I was in New Mexico just recently. In New Mexico, our trip's at like 7,000 feet. We had a bunch of people coming from lower elevations, and there was a few folks who had the Trek Domani Plus. They'd opted in for that, and everybody else who was coming from like California, and there was someone from Canada at sea level. They were really just kind of struggling with the elevation. But the couple that had the e-bikes absolutely loved them, and they so much more enjoyed the trip, and they weren't nearly as tired at dinner. All right, enough about bikes. Let's open up those chat boxes for your first trivia question. Okay, which of the following safety gear is not included? We got a Bontrager Wave Cell helmet, B, a Garmin Edge GPS, C, Bontrager flare lights, or D, a Trek bike bell. And I know Hershey loves bike bells because, I mean, it's just a great way to not be shouting at people while you're riding around. So I see some answers rolling in. So again, you just have to put the letter of the correct answer. So I appreciate Linda for writing it all out. She just said just the letter of the correct answer is all you need. I see the answers rolling in here. And this is it also goes into all the things that Trek Travel provides on its trip. Obviously, there's only one that we're not including, so clearly we're providing a lot of other stuff. And with that, the answers stop rolling. Actually, the correct answer is, okay, final answers. D, we do not provide a Trek bike belt, but I have to tell you, I hope we do soon because, or maybe you can bring your own because it is a really nice way if you're on a bike path or just to let people you know that you're there. Though, candidly, we're trying to keep you off things that don't have so many people, like if you're riding in the city and whatnot. So hopefully you don't need to use a belt all that often. Okay, now you're wondering, how do I pick a trip? One way is by considering the activity level of the trip. Some trips are more active than others, so that's definitely something you want to take into account. We classify our trips by 4 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. I know, not rocket science, pretty straightforward. Level 1 is going to be easier in distance, terrain, and or skill level on all of our trips. And level 4 will be the hardest. I mean, this is true for all our different trip styles. So we're just kind of having numbers instead of kind of spelling things out. You may have seen in the past descriptive names like leisure or avid or active. And I think people were always wondering like, well, am I avid or am I, active? A lot easier, just keep it down to the numbers. Another way to pick a Trek travel trip is by trip style, and we have 3 of them. First is our classic road cycling trips. This is where we started and where we have the most trips by far. These trips range from short 3 or 4 day trips exploring an area to our cross-country trip that covers almost 3,800 miles and over 1,555 feet of climbing over 47 days. And everything in between. There is truly a trip for everyone, whether you're all about long days in the saddle or a little riding while you enjoy the culture and food of the area. And for those of you who want to do it on your own, we have many self-guided trips as well. Next is our gravel cycling adventures. These trips are for our guests who want to get off paved roads onto roads that are a little more rugged and less traveled. And to do this, we use our gravel bikes. I mentioned the Checkpoint SLR7. For those of you who are not familiar with a gravel bike, think about it this way. If a road bike and a mountain bike had a baby, it would be a gravel bike. So you should think of a gravel trip as a combination of road cycling and mountain biking. Usually you're riding on dirt roads and paths that are not as full of rocks and ruts or as technical as you get on mountain bike trails, but they're definitely more adventurous than paved trails. Though you may have to go on a couple paved trails to kind of get to some of the great gravel roads. And now our third trip style, also our newest, we want you to step into a new era of Trek travel with our hiking and walking trips. Our hiking and walking trips are packed with everything that makes Trek travel great. The best guides, luxury accommodations, expert itineraries, unmatched flexibility, and support from the moment you book your trip well after you depart. All delivered with what sets Trek travel truly apart is our unparalleled hospitality. We realized a couple of years ago that we always said the best way to see the world was on 2 wheels, but turned out that there are some parts that you can't get to on 2 wheels and you need to use your 2 feet. So our hiking and walking trips are just absolutely awesome and let you explore an area in a way that you really can't, on a bike, even on a gravel bike. Okay, so let's move on to what's included in the trips. I mean, you already know like the helmet and the GPS and all that stuff's included. We covered that, but going in more. So both the hiking and walking and the bike trips include the hotel, guides, daily breakfast, most lunches, most dinners, daily snacks and drinks, gratuities for the local staff. So if you're doing any kind of dinners or any kind of activities, those gratuities are covered. Luggage transfers, if you're going from one place to another, that's going to be covered, obviously, as well as the transportation from one place to the other. Some Trek travel gear, depending on the kind of trip that you're on. When it comes to the cycling, Obviously, the world-class bikes I talked about, and as you know, the GPSs and the helmets. You also get a flat pack and a support van and 1 to 3 routes depending on the day. For hiking and walking, we're providing the backpacks, hiking poles, and water bottle. Though I would say, if you have your own backpack or hiking sticks, it's something you probably want to bring. I know I have my favorites, but we just wanted to make sure that obviously these trips were accessible for people who, or try them out, who don't already have a backpacker or hiking poles. What's not included, as you can see, this list is much shorter. Obviously, airfare to and from the place. And we always encourage you to go out a day or two early. I mean, these days with travel hiccups, you don't want to miss your first day, especially sometimes our trips have a shuttle from where you get picked up to where you're going. Just makes it a lot harder to catch up. Obviously, so lodging to and before, always great again to kind of stay a little before, a little after. Any personal items like souvenirs, any optional activities are not scheduled by Trek Travel. We try to leave. We have a lot of things going on most of the trips, but we try to leave a little time for you to do your own thing. Some meals, again, we have all these great meals curated for you, but you might want to get out and just check something out on your own. And then not included is gratuity for the Trek Travel guides. And as a guide, I can say we appreciate your appreciation. All right. Another trivia questions coming up. So open up those chat boxes. And again, you only have to put the letter of the correct answer, not the full answer. Unless, of course, you want to get extra credit. Okay, which of the following is not part of our Great Rides collection? The ascent of Mount Ventoux, Nice to Nice loop, which I like to say the Nice to Nice loop, Saculabra, which is in Mallorca, or the Inca Trail of Peru. So we have a Great Rides collection, and which one of these is not part of the Great Rides collection? If you're just guessing, I always guess C. C is always a good thing to guess. But with that, I think the answers are rolling in here. Looks like many of you have been paying attention to our website. The correct answer is, there we go. The Inca Trail is not one of our Great Rides collections. All right, now we are climbing up to the point that you've all been waiting for. This is the section of the event where we highlight some of our trips. And tonight, I'm excited to share with you our Provence and Tuscany bike tours. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to my good friend, Hershey. Hershey, take it away.
Curtis, there we go. Thank you so much for the introduction. As always, it is great to be here with you and everybody tonight. And I would say that tonight is all about the Legends trips. We have two awesome trips that really we have been doing trips at Trek Travel since TT began back in 2002. So without further ado, I would like to say we start off with one special place where I have ridden my bike all over. And if you've not yet been to Provence, well, I will just say this trip is definitely for you. Get ready to embrace the leisurely pace of life, as I would say, is a Provençal way of life. Every meal is an opportunity to indulge the amazing flavors of the region. Every market is a great place to connect with locals, experience the Provençal way of life. This is more than a destination. It's a chance for you to sit back, slow down, watch the colors and the shadows and everything slowly pass by. This trip offers a profound immersion into the heart of the French culture and the simple pleasures that truly make Provence so enchanting. As you can see here in this slide, well, you were looking at the village of Gourd, where we will get to stay on this trip through one of the lavender fields. Now, the terrain in Provence, Curtis mentioned the different types of trips that we have. Provence is a level 2-3 trip. Each day promises an average of 2 to 3 significant climbs. It's a nice blend, in my opinion, of great ascents, some challenging steep sections, and then beautiful descents to enjoy. On average, we will have about 36 miles per day and about 3,000 feet of climbing. So in my opinion, it's not too bad. The roads are incredible, as you can see here from this shot where Mont Ventoux is back in the distance, and this rider is loving the climb on a pristine paved road. It's sure to please. This tour is a celebration of both the physical and the picturesque, offering many, well, let's just say it's truly satisfying. Great climbs, great descents all throughout Provence. And I keep saying that, but it's true. This right here is by far one of my favorites, the Gorge de la Nesque. Whether you start in the town of Sceaux and descend through the gorge, or you start somewhere down by Pernes-les-Fontaines and begin the climb, this climb through the gorge is absolutely incredible. It weaves, it winds, you're on a quiet road, you go through some tunnels. It's truly like you are in the middle of nowhere. And I will say, if you haven't done the gorge, definitely it should be on your bucket list because the scenery is incredible. And as you can see here from this photo, there's nothing around for miles. It is absolutely special. Another day on this trip, and this is why I think the riding in Provence is absolutely incredible. Um, we climb Mont Ventoux. This is the Giant of Provence. It's an iconic climb. We start in the village of Bedouin, so it's definitely the classic way that the tour does it. As you go out, you will see no doubt paint on the roads, cheering on your favorite riders. And this year, with Mont Ventoux in the Tour de France, there's going to be fresh paint down, people cheering for Vinigo, people cheering for Pogacar. It's awesome. As you climb up, you hit steep sections. You go through, first, you'll pass through many vineyards, then you go through the forest, then you come out of the forest, and then eventually you're going to pass Chalet Renard. At that point, you have about 9K or so left, and then it almost feels like you're in a Monty Python skit because you go around one corner and you see the top, and you're like, it's right there. And then you go through the next corner, all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh, it's way out there. But before you know it, you will reach the top. There's candy at the top. The weather can be definitely different, but whichever you choose to do this day, Mont Ventoux is one of those that will last and stay with you a lifetime. Now, I mentioned earlier in the one slide, you can see the village of Gourd. Here is another shot of the town of Gourd. We will spend 3 nights at our hotel, which literally is in downtown Gourd. The hotel is Bastide de Gourd. The veranda that we sit down and have a drink from this hotel here is the view is absolutely incredible. And when you are cycling up to it, you're doing this climb and you're right along the cliffs, and then you can see the hotel, you can see the city, and you look back and you see the vineyards down below. You will definitely enjoy your stay in Gourd, and it'll last with you a lifetime. At the base of Mont Ventoux, the Jumara family has roamed their truffle fields for 3 generations now. The first seedling was made by Albert Gemot in his 70s. The farm and the truffle hunting is now operated by Frank and Alex. His grandsons, they have the same passion, ingenuity that all the Gemards possess for truffle hunting, and you will get to experience truffle hunting on your own if you like to enjoy some of the fungi. Now, another thing that we do on your Provençal adventure, you'll traverse a region and we will go to some markets. One of them is up on top of this hillside. It's the Roussillon market. Roussillon is known for this red ochre-like stone that is only found in Provence, in Roussillon. It's absolutely incredible. Um, we'll stop here. You'll feast for your senses with the different smells, the bread, the cheese, the fresh vegetables, the artisan crafts. It's it's awesome. It's a great place to bike to, leave your bike with your Trek travel guide like Curtis and I, and then go get lost and talk to people. and just enjoy all the different treasures seen in the Roussillon open air market. On our final night of our Provençal journey, we will come together for an exclusive wine tasting guided by a local sommelier where you'll explore the rich tapestry of Rhone wines. The intimate experience will not only introduce us to the intricate flavors and aromas that define the celebrated wine region, but it'll also deepen your appreciation for the art of winemaking and what terroir is all about. As we savor each selection, our sommelier will share insights into the history of terroir and craftsmanship behind these exquisite wines. This special gathering is more than a tasting, it's a celebration of our journey's end, a moment to reflect on the memories which we've created this week, from the fantastic writing to the incredible food, which I have not mentioned enough. And we will toast to some of the finest wines found in the Rhone Valley. Now, if your passion is for cycling, if you like a slower way of life, if you love luxury, then the tapestry of the Provençal culture is definitely calling your name. I think you will see some of the best roads by bike in the area. You will taste some of the best wines. You will get a truffle hunt. The food in Provence is absolutely incredible. But instead of me telling you all about it, I am going to share with you a short video now, um, which is all about, it's non-narrated, so you can sit back, relax, watch, and enjoy, we'll just call it the sights and sounds of Provence. So I hope you enjoy this short video.
Keep going straight at the very end.
You know, I absolutely love that video. Normally, I enjoy it when my colleagues are kind of narrating everything, but hopefully you enjoyed the sights and just some of the feeling of Provence. Like the cycling, it has such a rich history for cycling that goes back generations. And then the food and the roads are absolutely incredible to bike on. So if you were looking for an incredible place to do a trip, Provence is definitely one that I absolutely love, and I'm sure it's to please. Now we're going to say goodbye to Provence and hello to our other, I will call these the Legends trips. Both Provence and Tuscany have been with us pretty much since TT was founded. And our next trip tonight is one of our longest running trips as well. And this is the Tuscany bike tour. La Dolce Vita is nowhere near more evident in its place than in the endless vineyards, breathtaking scenery of the Val d'Orcia and the Chianti area, fantastic wine, amazing cycling culture, great views that go on, along with fantastic towns that we will visit. So please welcome our second trip tonight, the Tuscany bike tour. So the riding in Italy is not too dissimilar to Provence. We don't have the climb of Mont Ventoux here. However, we have some fantastic riding. We average about 30 miles a day, 2,600 feet of climbing per day. So just a little bit less than Provence, but we have punchy climbs, amazing views, interesting roads, fantastic wine. We go to areas like Castellina and Chianti, Radda and Chianti, Montalcino, just to name a few. And so if you were into an Italian way of life, if you love coffee, well, then Tuscany is definitely the place. I love France, but they don't do coffee. What you do have in Italy, besides food and wine and gelato and coffee, is just an incredible way of life and some delicious treats to go with it. Now, the riding the Val d'Orcia is magnificent and it's different from Chianti. Chianti, you have all these different types of trees, you're in forested areas, you're going up and down, things are shaded. The views, unless you get to a hilltop, you can't see far. Whereas in the Val d'Orcia, you have the open fields, roads lined with the cypress trees like you've seen in the movies. You have the quintessential Tuscan view. We'll make our way to the medieval village of Montalcino one day, where you can discover one of the finest Italian wines in the world and one of my favorites, the Brunello. If you are lucky, you may even hear Gregorian chants in Montalcino. It's a truly magical place. There's so many amazing villages that we are going to explore and cycle to. And by the way, I just need to note every village we go to is pretty much on top of the hill. So you climb up, you get a nice little workout, and like here you get to Monteriggioni, and you will see these 14 dramatic towers that dominate the land and the sky, and you will get to walk its cobbled streets. So you'll hand your bike back to Curtis and I. We'll give you your day bag with walking shoes, and then you can sit and enjoy this great area. One reason I love Tuscany is the diversity of the different regions, which I've mentioned before. Chianti definitely doesn't disappoint. Vineyards, quaint villages, winding narrow roads, low traffic, and pristine pavements. The roads on this trip are small country roads. There's little traffic, but I will say there's almost no shoulder. Italian drivers love to see cyclists and will generally give you a friendly little toot when they pass by, or a wave, or they'll even cheer you on. Now, Il Borgo di Vicene, it's situated in the heart of Chianti. It's our first hotel of this trip. It's an old Etruscan village. Little side note, the Etruscans were the people that lived all throughout Italy before Rome came and kind of sacked them all. So whenever a new emperor was crowned in Rome, it was the Etruscan priest who actually did it. Rome is thought to have invented the arch. That's not true. They stole the technology from the Etruscans. However, the Etruscans didn't have a keystone. Every single block in that arch was a keystone, and the Romans couldn't do that. So that technology, unfortunately, was lost over the ages and in time. But you will see some amazing things from the Etruscans. We stay in an old Etruscan village, and our hotel, also where you'll be at, boasts this incredible wine cellar, an awesome restaurant, and they have some of the finest Chianti Classico reserve wines, accompanied by a fantastic local meal. Now, in the heart of San Quirico, You will learn to make pizza in the Italian style. I think my wife and I need to do this trip because we make pasta and pizza ourselves. We use Italian flour to make our pizza that we actually get it from Italy, which I highly recommend if you don't do that. But here you will have the guidance of an Italian pizza master. You will learn the art of making Italian pizza. And not to mention, the best thing to go with Italian pizza is, of course, local Chianti wine. Now, Tuscany is one amazing place to ride a bike. I will say this. The roads are incredible. They're interesting. They weave, they wind, you climb, you descend. The food is amazing. You can see here people toasting off their final night. But instead of me telling you more about how incredible this is, I'm going to have my co-guide, well, Curtis and I, he's one of our co-guides. His name's Stefano. I trained him ages ago, and he is going to tell you a little bit more about our Tuscany bike tour. So, Stefano, my man, take it.
Tuscany is actually that place. You see all those pictures, and it actually is like that. You ride through those curvy roads, you're surrounded by all those trees. You are in the picture. Is Italy, so the taste is just get to your mouth. Cinghiali, which is this wild boar meat, or you can go for pici pasta, and then you go and taste the pecorino cheese. Food in Tuscany, it is incredible. The wine, of course. If you're going to Tuscany, the wine, it is part of the experience. The authenticity is still in there, like small houses, maybe a little square or a little road which ends up with a view. There's like something really characteristic in Tuscany.
So there you go. From Tuscany to Provence, I tell you, it's definitely, I wouldn't say it's a tough call. It's more like where are you going to travel first? And with that, Curtis, I am going to hand it back over to you. So take it away.
Thanks, Hirsch. The normal answer to the question is which one of them, just do both, right? Just go over there and stay a little longer and just hit both of them so you can do a little compare and contrast.
Absolutely, man. I definitely recommend
Yeah.
do both. And where you go first, Curtis, I would say if you are all about good coffee and gelato, well, then Tuscany is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But if you prefer kind of like the Provence way of life and Mont Ventoux as your bucket list ride, then definitely Provence is calling.
That is a lot of work. That is a bucket list ride. I got tired doing it on Ruby once, so can't imagine the real thing. So now we've got you all excited for obviously a direct travel trip. I bet you're all wondering, well, what's next? Well, watch out for an email from our team with lots of great info to recap tonight's presentation, including a link to this video so you can watch it all over again if you want to see those amazing videos of Provence and Tuscany. Visit our website to get more information about these trips or others, including dates and prices, trip logistics, so you know where to fly into, what to bring, and just all sorts of other helpful information. Our new website's been designed and has these great little maps where you can kind of see where everything is and kind of where all the routes go to in the region. Kind of gives you average temps each day. So just tons and tons of really great information. You can also search for trips by region, date, trip style, rider level, and just so many other ways. So you can kind of really hone into what you're looking for because there are so many different types of trips. And while you're there, you can also find out more information about our industry-leading cancellation policy and our travel insurance provider. And then once you've decided on a trip, give us a call to book your trip Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. Or if you're one of those people who thinks the best decisions are made late at night, you can book most of these trips on our website from the comfort of your own couch. And then once you've booked a trip, you got to get ready for it because this isn't kind of a lazy trip where you're laying on the beach drinking pina coladas all day, which isn't so bad. I'm actually heading to Puerto Rico next week, and I'm very much looking forward to beach and pina coladas. But this is a trip, and I think you're going to get more out of the trip if you're ready for it, especially with the riding. And it's really part of the fun. So head down to your local Trek dealer, see what gear you need. If you want to make sure it doesn't rain on your trip, buy rain gear and bring it. That's the best way to assure that it's not going to rain. Talk to them, check out the bikes, the Damani Plus, the Verve Plus, if those are bikes you were thinking about, or the Damani to kind of get fitted for it if you don't already have one, just to kind of make sure your size is dialed in. See if they have any local group rides where you can make some friends and then kind of get some miles in. So, like getting ready for the trip is part of the fun of the trip itself, which is great about these trips. So with that, I should end, we're almost done. And I should say, if you want to hear about other trips, go to our website and go to the resources tab under events. We have events throughout the year. They're almost always on Wednesday nights. The next few that are upcoming on February 12th, we're talking about Andalusia and the Girona Ride Camp. I love ride camps. It's just 7 days of riding, a little less of all the cultural activities and whatnot. It's just really for getting a lot of miles in if that's what you want. February 19th, we're going to talk about Japan and Puglia. And then February 26th, Scotland Gravel in the Scotland hiking and walking tours. That's on February 26th. So if none of those interest you, you can go to our website again, check out there's other ones in the future. And if nothing's there, keep checking back. If there's something that you want to hear about, just reach out to Trek and say, hey, will you do a presentation on, this trip? And I'm sure they'll be happy to kind of set something up in the future so you can have that. But again, you don't have to. We're getting to the Q&A here now. You don't have to wait. We're happy to talk about any other trips on the presentation, but you miss out on some of the cool videos, especially the ones that are narrated. So with that, we are at the last leg of our journey. And so I know we have a couple questions in the Q&A that we'll go over, but if anyone else wants to throw on their video, you can ask the questions out loud, or obviously you can throw them into the Q&A as well. Hirsch, one of the questions that came up was, what is the difference between Tuscany and the Tuscany self-guided? So the trip you just talked about and the self-guided. I, of course, joked and said the difference is the guides, but is there, anything more than just that? Same hotels, stuff like that?
No, it's not the same hotels. In fact, I'll have to do a little bit of research to it. However, both you get a cycle in Tuscany.
Yeah.
Tuscany is it's a larger area that has all these different sections to it. But if you were looking for something hands-on, supported with the team, you'll definitely want to do the R trip. But if you want to do self-guided where you're at your own pace and do your own things, you'll still see parts of Tuscany that are absolutely incredible. It's just the guides won't be there to guide you through the day, and you won't get that pizza making class, but you'll definitely cycle and see some of the different villages and towns.
So just talk about our self-guided trips just generally. I mean, with a self-guided trip, you're going to the same region, you're going to get the bike, you're going to get the Garmin GPS with the routes, and like Hirsch said, you're going to just kind of go at your own pace, miss out, there's not the guides there, there's not the sag wagon, there. There is though, if you ever have an emergency, I think there's, a number to call for that if I recall. So if something
Yeah.
happens, have any issues with the bike. But yeah, as Hirsch said, self-guided trips, you're going at your own pace and doing your own things and kind of picking out your own cultural activities
Yeah.
way that you don't get.
And Curtis, by the way, on the self-guided trip, you only stay at one hotel, where on our Tuscany trip, you're at two different hotels. So you're in the Val d'Orcia and you're also in Chianti, where here you're just in San Quirico d'Orcia.
Good. Yeah. And
So,
again, if you're ever wondering about any of the trips and any of the differences, on our website does a really good job of kind of showing you what those are and what's there. And we do have some regions where there's a self-guided trip and there's no actual trip there. Madison's an example, right? There's a Madison self-guided trip, but there's no actual Madison guided trip. Um, Another question, Allison's asking, do we have any self-guided mountain bike trips? Nope. We did mountain biking for a while. Hirsch, did you ever guide a mountain bike trip? I know we only did them for a couple years.
No, unfortunately, I didn't. I was in Europe at the time when we were
Uh,
doing them, and they were mainly like Moab and up in Bend.
was it
Um,
Boulder, I think, too, or something? Yeah, I started, I
yeah,
think, the year right after they ended. So no mountain biking trips. And I think gravel's kind of taken that over, and gravel has absolutely exploded. So if you're kind of interested in a mountain biking trip, I would say maybe check out a gravel trip. Or yeah, do we have any? I think we have self-guided gravel trips as well. So I would say check out a gravel trip. Michael's asking, what about local non-American guides? I was under the impression that your guides were local. Yeah, most of the time they are local. I mean, so when you saw the ones, over in Europe, our guides usually live or in that region or move around that region. When you're European, you kind of
right.
go all over. So,
Like Stefano is up from the Italian Alps, but we also have guides from Tuscany and all over, and we also have the occasional expat or American guiding over there as well.
Nancy's asking on the trek trips, do you move luggage from hotel to hotel? No, because like Hirsch said, in the Tuscany one, you're staying in one spot. So, the thing about self-guided is with the self-guided, you're getting the bike and the information about the routes, but that's most and the support you have if anything happens. But I think it kind of ends there. That's the self-guided part of it.
Yep.
We did have a question earlier, kind of asking about kind of the routes and the sag wagon and kind of how all of that works, a number of riders and whatnot. So, Hirsch, you want to talk about how we kind of handle, how we support our guests on a typical ride?
Yeah, so Curtis, that's a great question. So there's always at least two of us on the trip. One of us is on the bike, one of us is in the van. The bike guide might lead out and then drop to the back of the group, or might start on the back and kind of leapfrog through the group. The van driver will go through the group, stop, and every so often have a snack table set up and let you know when and where they're going to be. So we're always, the bike guide and the guide in the van are always communicating to make sure that they see everybody on the road. If there's people who are doing the Avid route, then the bike guide might sweep the Avid route. So it varies day to day, but there's always going to be at least one of us on the bike with you all, and then the other one will be in the van supporting the group.
And we try to set up the routes too. For example, like if there's an Avid option, like you set up maybe like the snack stop or the lunch stop, and then the Avid riders are going to do the Avid route, and then by the time they're getting back, maybe the slower riders are kind of rolling into lunch as well. So I mean, the routes are set up in such a way to try to keep folks together as much as possible and to add on extra miles in a way that kind of maybe gets the faster people or avid people out and doing extra stuff. But as far as SAG, like Hirsch said, we're always there for you, and we kind of manage the gap. And it's your day, your way, so you're going to ride your own pace. You don't have to ride. People often ask, "What's the average pace?" The average pace is whatever your pace is. So typically, you'll have some people that kind of shoot off the front, and some people who maybe enjoy the back a little more and go a little more leisurely and stop and take pictures and really take in the scenery and are not just kind of hammering the miles. But all of those people will be supported, as Hershey said, um, with the van and the bike guide.
Yeah, and typically also, Curtis, as you know, sometimes we have the short option, which might be just to lunch or might be lunch to the hotel. The today's ride is both of those, and then the Avid ride would be a little extra loop,
Yeah,
15, 20 miles off of the today's ride.
yeah,
That'll come back in, or it might be an extra 20 miles once everybody has finished the ride. So we do our best to make sure that everybody has support the entire day.
yeah. And sometimes the short route might be hopping in the van at a certain spot and and then commuting the rest of the way back in too. So, but yeah, every morning we have the route talk, like we said, and kind of goes over the different options and gives you an idea what's going on. And then you kind of pick the route you want. And you can switch too if you decide, hey, I thought I was going to do the Avid, but I decided not to, or I'm going to do today's and I want to shorten it up. That's always the option for you. So, any other pro tips I haven't seen another question. So, any pro tips you'd recommend when you're getting ready for a trek travel traverse? What are some things that you recommend?
One of my first things is to make sure you spend some time on the bike before you go. Um, whether it's 3 or 4 times a week, at least an hour on the bike and a slightly longer ride on the weekend, it definitely, like going into your trip with fitness, will only help you enjoy it more. And then when you pack for your trip, make sure that you have layers, a wind jacket, a rain jacket, and all that type of stuff. Traveling with your shoes, a bike saddle that you've been riding on at home, all that can make a big difference in your comfort level for the entire week.
And that's a great point, Hersh. I always say, bring your own saddle. Happy to switch it out. I mean, our saddles are comfortable, but your bottom is used to your bottom's used to your saddle. So make sure you bring that along, and your guides will be more than happy to switch out the saddle for you and give it back to you at the end. And with regard to the pedals, we provide Shimano SPD, SLs, flats, and cages. So if you're riding any other pedals than those, bring them along, and and we'll be happy to switch the pedals out for you to make sure you're riding with your pedals.
Yeah.
And then also too, with your shoes, you know, make sure you're bringing the right cleats. Again, SPD and SPSLs. I mean, more than once, people have come with the wrong cleats, and we don't have other cleats. If like sometimes we'll have an extra set of SPDs, but not always. And so, you just want to make sure that you're, making sure you're bringing your pedals if you're using something other than Shimano.
Yeah. Hey, Curtis, this is a great question in here, and I'm pretty sure you know the answer, but do we provide phone holders for the bikes?
Well, we do not. I've seen them, but as a general rule, we do not. Just because there's so many different varieties of phone holder. I personally bring my own as a guide. There's certain brands I like, so I always travel with mine. It's really easy to attach them to the bars these days. So I would say grab your bike mount and bring your own, and obviously we'll be happy to help you mount it on the bike before you start.
Yeah.
So with that, unless anything else you want to add, Hirsch, or anyone else have any other questions, I can give people another 6 minutes back in their evening if they have no one else any additional questions.
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Good. Well, thank you all very much for joining us this evening. Hershey, thank you very much for showing us Tuscany and Provence. Those places look amazing, which is why
Yeah.
they've been with Trek Travel since the beginning, because they are amazing places that people want to go back to over and over again. So thank you, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you on a Trek Travel trip or maybe just another Trek Travel event.
Yeah. Thank you all. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon. Thank you,
Everybody.
Curtis.
Yeah, thank you, Hershey.